I'm Jordan Champagne of Happy Girl Kitchen and the author of It Starts With Fruit. And it's a book all about preserving fruit in the many different ways. So yesterday my husband came home from farmer's market with a gigantic bag of organic strawberries. Have a look. And it's way more strawberries than I need for jam. So the great thing about preserving fruit is you can do it lots of different ways. So come on, I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. Okay, so I have one big bag of strawberries and I'm going to make some jam. We are going to make strawberry spritzer, which is a nice syrup, and we are going to sort some for just the freezer because in our family we love smoothies and milkshakes. And then in this container here, we're going to make a strawberry shrub, which is an old-fashioned way of preserving fruit juice with vinegar. So for jam, you're going to want to pick the nicest looking fruits because we're making a low sugar jam. So you see how this has little white on the shoulders. It's very firm. There's no imperfections on this. So I'm just going to take off the greens and I'm going to put that one in the jam pot. Now this one is a little more dented. It's not as perfect. So this one can either go in for smoothies or the spritzer or the shrub because it's just a little bit bruised. It doesn't have as much pectin as a really underripe fruit will. And my big number one thing is if you want to know if you should use a fruit or not, just taste it, cut off a little bit and taste it. Does it taste really good? Then you could use it. It'll be really good. But if it tastes a little past, then anything that you put it in will have that flavor. So you want to have the best flavor when you're preserving fruits. So you got to start with really good fruit and it should just taste really good. I'm going to cut off a little piece of that and taste it. Oh, fabulous. Oh, it's really good. Okay, so I'm going to keep sorting. And the ones with imperfections, I'm going to put for the freezer or the spritzers and the shrubs. And the ones that are a little very firm, slightly underripe, they have more pectin, I'm going to put those into the jam pot. So I'm going to keep doing that. Okay, so we just finished sorting all of our strawberries, and this is a lot of strawberries. So I sorted them out for freezing and for jam, and those two are the firmest fruit, the most whole, and then we have our jar here for shrubs and spritzer. And this is where the sort of dented, smushy, you know, imperfection fruit, that's where these went. So these were the more firm and these were the more dented. Now I'm going to just show you what to do with all of them next. Okay, so in our family we eat a lot of smoothies, or I should say drink. So I always love to just freeze my own fruit. So you wash it and then you make sure it's dried before you put it into the freezer bag. And I basically just load it up, keeping them all separate. And then it's yours for making smoothies. I also like to make a strawberry almond milk. I make a fresh almond milk and blend it with strawberries. You can use it to make milkshakes if you want. So there's lots of things you can do with this frozen fruit. So just fill the bag. Make sure you zip it up all the way. And then I'm gonna just put it in the freezer just like that. Voila! Okay, so spritzers. So I sorted it out. Spritzer, what is a spritzer? Basically, I just like to name it that because it's making you realize what you want to do with it, and it's making a syrup. And you can use it to make your own sodas. Awesome for parties. So we have all these strawberries, And then we're gonna pour in lemon juice and as much sugar as we want. There are recipes in my book for spritzers. And you can just basically add the sugar to taste, and then we're just gonna cook it down and then strain off the fruit. That's how we're gonna make our spritzers. So let me add our lemon juice. This was 8 pounds of lemons. I added a cup of lemon juice, and I'm gonna add 2 cups of sugar. And I could add, if I wanted to add lemon or orange zest or ginger, I could add ginger to my spritzer. So it'd be a strawberry ginger soda or strawberry orange. You can add any spices or flavorings that you want to, which makes it pretty exciting. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of ginger. And I could grate it, or I can just cut it to nice thin strips. And in this case, I'm going to be straining it off, so I can add that entire piece just in there. So now I'm just going to put it on a low flame and let it simmer over here, and the juices will get pulled out of the strawberries. And I'm gonna let it simmer for about 10 minutes until all those juices are extracted, and we're gonna strain it off. So in my book, I really explain the history of shrubs and all the techniques for making them. And it's very simple. I do a strawberry coffee shrub, but today I just really felt like using some blood oranges. So we're gonna make a strawberry blood orange shrub with cinnamon and juniper berries and peppercorns and honey. Oh, and of course, apple cider vinegar. So let's get started. I'm gonna juice the oranges, and then I'm gonna actually put the whole orange right in there because we're gonna end up straining off all this juice. The shrub is a really amazing little drink that's made with vinegar. It's an old-fashioned way of preserving fruit with vinegar, and it has that sweet and sour flavor. It actually was the original sour in cocktails, and it's just so fun for a party when you're making mocktails to have these different flavors already at your hand. And so it makes an exciting drink, and if you have a carbonator at home, it's going to make it so that you're drinking a lot more of that sparkling water. So I'm going to just kind of jam these oranges in there, and I'm going to pour over the blood orange juice. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of peppercorns and about the same of juniper berries. I find in shrubs you really want to use a lot of spice because it adds so much flavor to it. I'm going to put the cinnamon in there and then the honey. So you don't have to sweeten your shrubs, and if you want to, you can use honey, you can use maple syrup, agave, or sugar. And I really love honey in my shrubs, so I'm going to put that in. And then I'm going to just cover the fruit with apple cider vinegar. And then we're going to let it sit for 1 week with the lid on, and everything will be infused. And at that time, you can just strain off the liquid, or you can heat it slightly to really extract more of that juice. And then, here we go. Can you see it filling up? So you don't put it in your fridge. You just leave that right out on your countertop and let those fruits really get infused with that vinegar. It's definitely one of our favorite drinks at home. So I'm gonna put the lid down and we'll just let that sit for a week or two and you can watch it change over time. It's pretty exciting. That's our shrub. Okay, so now we have our strawberry spritzer, and you can put it in any size jar you want. We go through a lot of this in our house, so I'll put it in a 16-ounce jar, but if you're not going to go through so much, just put it in an 8-ounce jar. And it's always good to try it out. So I'm going to make some sparkling water. And add a few ice cubes. Just like sunshine. Okay, so now we're ready to strain our spritzer. I just put a pot and a strainer into it, and I do that right in the sink just in case it splashes and makes a big mess. It's contained. And I'm gonna take this off the heat. Look at it. Ooh, nice. And I'm just gonna strain out all that juice. Wow, a lot of juice came out, and look, it did make a big mess. So I'm glad I did it right in the sink. So you want to make sure to just really scrape those sides and get all the juice out that you can while you're straining it. Okay. So now for our strawberry jam. This is also a recipe that you'll find in the book. And so first, all you're going to do is weigh your fruit. So I have a little kitchen scale, and always remember to tare your bowl. And we will weigh our fruit. And it's 4 pounds exactly. And so for my low sugar jams, it's the magic ratio is 4 pounds of fruit to 1 pound of sugar to a ½ cup of lemon juice. So this is a great ratio for low sugar jams, but that's why you need to make sure your fruit is very firm. The pectin is naturally found in the fruit. We're not going to add any pectin. But as a fruit ripens and over ripens, it loses its amount of pectin. That's why I want the slightly underripe fruit and very firm, especially for a low sugar jam. So most places that are selling jam fruit out there, if it's really smushy, that's a high sugar jam fruit. But this is a low sugar jam. So we're going to make sure our strawberries are perfect. Now with such big strawberries, I might just cut them into quarters before I put them into the pot. Okay, so I'm gonna cut the last strawberry and add it to the bowl. Okay, so I have my strawberries in there, my 4 pounds. I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of lemon juice. And I like to drizzle it over all of the fruit. And then we have our 2 cups of sugar. That might seem like a lot, but remember, most recipes out there are equal parts fruit and sugar. And so that would be 8 cups. So we're using 1/4 of the amount of sugar that most recipes use. So now there is a stage called maceration where you just let your fruit sit with the lemon juice and the sugar overnight. You can let it sit in your pot, you could let it sit in a bowl with a cloth over it and just let it sit on the countertop. That's gonna allow the juice to be pulled out of your fruit and the pectin and the sugar start intermingling. It creates a lower cooking time. But for me, it's Sunday, I have to go to work tomorrow, so I don't have that time today. So I'm just gonna put it right on the stove and cook it down. But that's just a phase that you can do to, one is separate the actual work of cooking your jam, making your jam. One day you can get your fruit and prepare it to this stage and then just let it sit for a day or two. If you need to let it sit longer than a day, just pop it in your fridge and then you could cook it down later. But I don't have that kind of time, so I'm just gonna pop it onto the stove and cook it down right now. One other thing is, what kind of pot should you use? I like to use a wide pot and make sure it has a really heavy bottom so that it's not going to scorch and burn. And you want it to only be about 1/2 or 1/3 full. It's going to expand and foam up while it's cooking, so you need to give it that room to expand. So just make sure you don't overfill your pot. Okay, here we go. Okay, so our jam just started coming to a boil. We're going to boil it until it comes to that perfect gel set. So come on and have a look inside the pot. You see that foam coming up and rising. We just want to stir it to make sure it doesn't scorch. And it's going to cook for about 10 to 25 minutes. I know that's a long window of time, but we're going to do a gel test to see exactly when to stop cooking. All right, so we got to get that perfect gel set. And this is the jam chapter in my book, and this is the gel test. So you'll see we're going to do plate tests. In the beginning, the fruit is very separate from the juice, and then it gets thicker. Here, it actually is sliding down the plate together, but there's still too much of this juice that's separate. And here, it really thickened up and came down the plate slow. So I'm going to pop these plates in the freezer, and we're going to do our gel test. Okay, you can see the jam is thickening up. The foam is rising, and I'm going to put a little bit of that juice on the plate just to test it and see how thick it is. So we're going to cool it down and then bring it back out of the freezer. So here was our first test, and you'll see that's very liquidy. Just ran right down the plate. So now it's been cooking for longer, and I'm going to do another gel test. And action. Okay. So this was our second gel test, and you'll see if I hold back that fruit, that juice comes down kind of in this cone shape, drippy shape. Definitely not thick enough yet. We're wanting it to come down together, not separating from the juice. So it's been cooking a little while longer. We're going to take one more gel test and put that fruit right on there, and you can already see that it looks different. Look at that. Looks different than the last one. I'll show you the last one. Way thicker already. So whenever you think your jam might be ready, you could turn off that flame and pull it off. Okay, so we have our last gel test, and as you see, it's all coming down the plate together very slowly. That's called sheeting. That's exactly what you want. I use my grandma's china because I always feel like she brings good luck to me. And then you're gonna jar up your jam. And again, depending on your family size and how much jam you use, you're going to put it into the jar. This is a 16-ounce jar, but you could put it in an 8-ounce or 4-ounce. It's really nice to put it into smaller jars, then you have a lot more to give. Since it's a low sugar jam, it only keeps for 6 weeks in the fridge. And then you wipe that rim with a clean, damp cloth, put the lid on, and then we'll put it in the hot water bath canner for 10 minutes. And then it just lasts in your cupboard for up to a year. So enjoy your strawberry jam. Enjoy your strawberries in all the ways we made them. And just don't forget to have fun in the kitchen. That's what it's all about. It's just playing with your food, have fun, and there's just so much you can do with fruit. So just keep adventuring. Okay, thanks. So it was really a pleasure having fun with you today, working with fruit. And just don't forget, my book comes out May 12th, and it starts with fruit. And it teaches you all these recipes and way more. Thank you. Bye.